Hey guys, I know I showed you our neighbor who's working on his boat. Their home is what it is. They're living in the boat. But he's not the only one. The other neighbor is doing the same thing, as you can see. So this is a good way. If you're in quarantine and you have to stay inside because of the coronavirus, why not spend that time to do actually something that's needed so that you can take it off your list? What we're doing today is we're making bread the very easy way. Bread that you can, the way they're making it in the countryside of Morocco, so by the peasants. Very easy, no fuss, anyone can do it. Make sure you have flour, and that's the kind of stuff that we need in this time when you're inside and groceries are hard to get by and all that. So make sure you watch the easy recipe bread making video that I will be posting later on today, just as soon as I finish making the bread. So stay safe. Hey guys, it's been a while since we made one of these easy recipes and shared them with you. It's crazy times. Just a quick little message we want to say before I start sharing with you what I have to share with you today. From me, Mike, a lot of love. We hope everybody is doing fine out there. Please don't take any unnecessary risks. Please stay safe. You, your family, your friends, your loved ones, your neighbors, and please try to help where you can help, but always stay safe. So your own safety first, otherwise you won't be help to nobody. So for me, Mike, big hug, a lot of love. We hope that you guys are okay, doing fine there. Me and Mike are okay. Thank you so much for all the messages that we got from you, either private on Instagram or on YouTube. And you guys have been thanking us for the videos and how much they cheer you up in these crazy times. So thank you. We're doing fine. We hope you're all doing fine too. And speaking of which, the recipe that I will be sharing with you today is a recipe that hopefully will give you something in these crazy times where maybe not all of us can go to the groceries, get bread and all that kind of stuff. And bread is one of the necessities, in crazy times when food is not easy to get, and groceries and all that. I hope at least that you have some food and maybe some milk in your home. I hope you have some flour. At least make sure that you have some flour and, canned food and all that. And it's crazy, guys. It's crazy. I think we all should apologize to the preppers. The world has been making fun of the preppers, and yet here we are. So, I don't know. I think it doesn't hurt to have a little stock of some basic things, something that we learned, all of us now. So anyway, so yeah, what I'm going to be sharing with you is a recipe for how to make bread. It's a really easy recipe. It's from the Moroccan cuisine. This is a bread recipe from the farmers, the way the farmers make bread. Of course, you don't have to have an oven or a stove or whatever for this, because they usually just bake it on open fire. We're not going to make open fire, but I'm just saying that you don't have to have a stove for this or any fancy stuff, just a skillet, because this is, I think you guys call it the pen bread. So anyway, just trying to tell you guys that this is something very easy. Anybody, anywhere can make it. Just make sure that you have something that you can bake bread on and you're good to go, and fire. So if you're camping outside or somewhere, you could just do this on open fire. If not, then just one of these. So what you need is, speaking of crazy times, look, I see Alice in Wonderland. We're really in the rabbit hole, you guys. We fell into the rabbit hole, and now we need the fairy godmother to help us. But it's important to keep the faith and to keep your smile. Never lose the hope. From Peter Pan. Anyway, and help each other. Share your spaghetti like Lady and the Tramp is doing. Share whatever you have. But yeah, guys, on a serious note. So let's just hope that God will bless this world and help us all get out of this. Anyway, so what we need is 500 grams of all-purpose flour, as you can see here. 300 milliliter of milk. We need to warm that. We need lukewarm milk, so about 300 milliliter of milk. I know milk is a luxury in this time. At the grocery shops here in Holland, you can only, per customer, have only 2 packs of milk. But before this craziness started, me and Mike managed to get a pack of, I think 6 packs, so 3 packs of that. So we have milk for now. So I hope you guys do too. Otherwise, just try to make it with water. Anyway, if you don't have milk, then probably water. I must admit, you guys have never made it with water. Always make this recipe with milk. But yeah, so we need 500 grams of all-purpose flour. We need 300 milliliter of milk that we're going to warm just a little bit, really just a little bit. We need 1 teaspoon of salt. We need 1 teaspoon of sugar, and we need one of these little bags of dry yeast, 7 grams. I think that's it. Yeah, so what we're gonna do first is warm up the milk. Again, you guys, don't boil it, just warm it a little bit till it becomes warm to the touch, lukewarm, okay? Then, when you have that, we're gonna mix the sugar and the yeast in there, and then leave it, put a lid on it, and then leave it for 5 minutes till you see that it becomes a little bit foamy, okay? So that's what we're gonna do. Warm your 300 milliliter of milk, add the sugar, add the yeast, and mix it well, let it stand for 5 minutes, okay? So again, the ingredients, you guys: 500 milliliter of 500 grams of all-purpose flour, 300 milliliter of lukewarm milk, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and one of these little bags of dry yeast, which is 7 grams here in Holland. First step is the lukewarm milk. We're gonna mix the sugar and the yeast in there, let it stand for 5 minutes. So let's do that first and then come back to you. Sorry if I talk too much, I'm just a little bit nervous. Of course, we all have an occupied head, so I'm just trying to, but I wanted to make this bread today, and I thought, this is something that could help at least 1 or 2 of you out there, people that are now sitting home because they're maybe risk group, people with lung disease or heart disease or all that, can get outside. Maybe, hopefully, this will help you to be able to make at least a simple way to be able to make at least some bread. I really hope so from the heart, you guys. This is the best that I can do from where I am right now, and I hope it will reach the person that needs this. Love you guys all. So let's start. So first step, lukewarm milk, sugar, and yeast. Mix it, let it stand for 5 minutes, and then I'll come back to you. So, the milk is warm, not too hot, just a little bit warm. Oh, you guys, when you're working with sugar and salt, make sure it's always best to use salt with a different color, so that way it always helps you, especially if you bake a lot and all that. It always helps you to keep them apart. So this is Himalayan salt, it's pink. So I'm gonna add the sugar, 1 teaspoon like I told you, and the yeast. I'm gonna open this up and add it in there. So there it is, the yeast, and I'm gonna mix this really well, like I said, and then let it sit, you guys. Let it sit for 5 minutes. It needs to have this foam. Look, Look, you can already see the foam, and you need to be able to smell it. I can do this with one hand, so you get the idea. So mix it well, let it stand for 5 minutes until it gets foamy, and you can actually smell the yeast. All right, so it's been 5 minutes. As you can see, a little foamy, but you can definitely smell the yeast. Now, from this point, we can choose to let it sit a little bit longer till it gets a little bit more foamier if you have the time, but I'm not that patient. I never have been. So 5 minutes is good for me. Now we're going to proceed with this. So what we're going to do first is the flour, 500 grams, so that's half kilo of flour in there. First, we're going to add the last ingredient that we have, which is 1 teaspoon of salt. Add it in there, and then do the dry mixing. So I like to call it. Maybe it is a thing, I don't know. Maybe it's a thing in the recipe world, but always do this. Dry mix it a little bit. And then we're gonna add the milk with the yeast. and then let that mix really well. That should do it. All right, so I'm gonna add gradually from the opening of this thing. I'm gonna add the milk little by little. Remember I told you guys, this is the Cuisine 4200 XL Magi Mix, which means it has a little bit of trouble if you follow their official instructions to make dough. Don't follow their official instructions. I made a video about how to make the correct way to make dough with this machine, and you guys have been watching it a lot, and thank you for that. It's one of our most watched videos, and understandably, because like I said, the formal instructions of the Magi Mix do not work. So please don't put everything in there at once. Close your Magi Mix. As it's mixing, start adding the milk gradually, little by little, till you see the dough coming together. Please don't make the mistake of putting everything at once. All right, so that's what I'm gonna do, and come back to you guys once the dough kneading is finished. So guys, there's our dough. We're gonna take it out. First, make sure you have a little bit of sunflower oil. Grease your hands with it. Take the dough out. Make sure that your kitchen counter is a little bit greased with the same oil. And then knead the dough a little bit more, just a little bit, just a couple of minutes more. You don't have to do a lot of effort. Just make sure that you knead it a little bit more. Then put it in a big bowl, and then wrap some plastic around it and let it stand for 1 whole hour. This is very important. Let it stand and rise for 1 whole hour. So that's what I'm gonna do. Like I said, just knead it a little bit more with your knuckles, as you can see. And then wrap it up when you're done. Grease the bottom of a big bowl, put it in there, and then wrap plastic around it, and then let it stand for 1 hour. This is the most delicious dough you will ever see and feel. Promise you guys. So, grease it a little bit on the top so that it doesn't dry out. Bismillah. Just like this. And then let it sit for 1 hour. Come back to you. We're gonna finish this together after the hour has passed. The hour. So look at there, guys. It's beautiful. Look how puffy it is. It's been exactly 1 hour. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna wash our hand, grease it with some sunflower oil or some olive oil, whatever you have. And then gonna take the dough out, knead it a little bit, just a little bit softly, and then make it into one big roll. And then let it sit for 10 minutes. Of course, you can just go ahead and make the bread right now without this in-between step. But we want to guarantee and increase the puffiness of the bread, because only then it's delicious as it should be. So please do this with me. So we're gonna take it out, knead it a little bit, grease your hands, knead it a little bit into a roll, and then let it sit for 10 minutes. And then from that roll, we're gonna make little balls of dough, and then let those sit for 15 minutes, and then we're ready to bake them. And that will guarantee you puffy, nice little breads that you're gonna love and enjoy, and thank me for this recipe, I guarantee you. So shape it in something like this, like a horseshoe. See? That way it won't take a lot of space, especially if you have a little kitchen counter like we have. So yeah, something on top of it, a little towel, wherever you have at your hand, and then let it sit for 10 minutes. All right, you guys. So it's been 10 minutes. As you can see, it did rise, but just a little bit, because it's been rising for an hour. So now we're gonna divide them in little balls. But then again, it depends on how big you love your little breads to be. So I'm gonna figure it out and then share my preferable size of my little bread here with you guys. All right, so guys, this one is 70 grams, which is really too small. So I've been trying some sizes, and I think 100 grams should be enough, should give you like a decent little bread. So these are more like, well, not flat bread, but more like, I think you call them pan bread. I'm not really sure, but I'll show you guys the end result, of course. So with the 500 grams of flour, you should be able to make at least 8 little breads. Each dough ball should be around 100 grams. So this dough, the total weight of this dough that I came up with was 800 grams. So if you divide that in each dough 100 grams, it'll give you 8. So that's what we're gonna go for. But then again, you can just play with this and see where it fits your needs. All right. So I'm gonna let this sit for I don't know, maybe another 10 minutes, and then come bake them. Again, make sure you cover them. We do not want them to dry. Tap them with a little oil and then cover them to prevent the dough from drying out. So we just painted the table, you guys, and we've been so monitoring the cats, you know, to make sure that they don't walk over it. But Luna just did. The 1 minute that we were distracted, okay, you guys see her little paws in the reflection right here, and she went across the table. You can see them here, see? And then she jumped on this one. She wiped her little paws clean. And now we have a souvenir from Luna. She's so cute. Naughty and cute. But yeah, back to the recipe. So yeah, so now we're gonna take add a little bit of olive oil here, and then or sunflower oil, whatever we have. Mom got these from a peasant family that we have in Morocco, so this is like genuine, 100% genuine olive oil. So I always leave that for stuff like this. Very careful with it and how I use it. Love it. So yeah, so just make them, so just tap a little bit gently, make them flat but not too flat. Well, I'll show you guys. Just take one and then I'll show you. And what you need is something like this, if you happen to have it, or any skillet. Is that how you call it? Skillet. Anything will do, as long as it's enough space for these to bake them on there. So you take one of these little balls and then you tap them like that. Don't make them too flat. Try to spread them a little bit. Don't make them too flat, like I said. Something like this. And if we're lucky and I've done my work correctly, this should end up as a little nice puffy bread. All right, something like this. Let's try it, you guys. See what we make of it. So I still have enough room, enough space, so I'm gonna make at least 2. One over here, one over here. But then again, it depends on how big yours is. And just keep the heat low, very low. Just give them time. All right, that was it. I'm gonna finish baking them and then come back to you. So guys, once you make them just like I showed you, in this shape, those little balls of dough, just keep moving them around, low heat, keep moving them around. Once they get this color on both sides, they're basically done. They smell so delicious. They're so cute and they smell delicious. What you can do is, of course, you can't finish them all at the same day. Just put them in a bag in the fridge, and then every day make them a little bit wet on the bottom and the top with wet your hand, and then make them a little bit wet, and then you can either warm them up again in one of these skillets, or if you Bagheera, hey, I'm sorry, cats were fighting. Or you can do it in the grill, on one of these grills. Open them, little cheese in there, and then on the grill. Delicious. But for a short time, because they're already baked. So we just want to grill them a little bit, make them a little bit warm again. So that's it. And there you go, you guys. They're so cute and so yummy.